You've heard that the Aura has a slightly different method for treadling and that the head is assembled in a different way. So now alarm bells are going off that this might be a little bit more complicated to assemble. But rest assured, the folks at Majacraft, with their engineering skills, have designed a very easy to assemble spinning wheel in the Majacraft Aura. I'm Jennifer Johnson with Whispering Pines Farm. My husband and I raise a beautiful flock of soft Shetland sheep here on the farm in Western New York. And I'm also an authorized Majacraft dealer, and I'm committing to holding all the inventory here in stock on the farm so that you, the hand spinner, don't have to wait to get the tools and equipment that you need to spin your dreams. Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. I hope you find it helpful, and you can help me by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons beneath the video. In this video, I'm going to assemble my new Aura spinning wheel to show you how quick and easy it is to put together. I've included links below the video to the Aura wheel in my shop, as well as a link to the assembly manual for you to reference. It's time to get to work. A couple things before we get into doing the assembly. Number one is read your manual all the way through once without doing anything. All the steps in the manual are current to what we've received. On occasion, some of the other wheels, things were already put together, but in the manual it said you had to put them together. But it looks as if it's pretty current with what we're gonna have to do here to get a wheel built. In addition to what comes in your kit, you're gonna wanna have three things. One is a Phillips head screwdriver. One is it's called a Posi-Drive screwdriver. It's got a star head. You need that. You can't use a Phillips head in place of it. And then some Vaseline for lubricating our fire shaft when we're done. The first step is we attach the stem to the base assembly. The base assembly, like all the Majacraft wheels, has these really nice rubber feet. Purpose is, while you're spinning, to keep your wheel from sliding. I've heard people talking about other manufacturers' wheels where the wheel slides while they're trying to spin. So the nice rubber feet prevent that from happening. So after you remove your wrapper, set your base on your table. And these are going to be flapping, so just be careful with that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this is called the stem assembly. It's got your carrying handle here. And this diamond shaped piece is going to be facing you, and the Majacraft is going to be closest to you so that you can read it. So that's how you know you're going to be putting the parts on correctly. And what we're going to be doing is matching up these threaded inserts on either side of the stem with these holes on either side of the base assembly. So there's holes on either side, you can see. So we're gonna line that up, and then there's also a hole on the bottom of your stem assembly, and we're gonna line that up with the hole on the base. And I am using the handle to do this, just to get it slid in there. There we go. Okay. I just want to see if I can see through it. I'm going to be in good shape because I'll be lined up nicely. So the JCB bolt, they're called M6 JCBs, and those are what you're going to use to get started. You're going to use your 4mm Allen wrench. So this Allen wrench comes with your hardware, and there's a hole in the handle that you can run a string through and hang that off of your wheel or your I see a lot of people have these cute little bags that they hang off of their wheels. This you'll want to keep in there because every so often there'll be an occasion where you're going to need it. So one of the things you can do is you can lift the treadle when you're screwing in the JCB bolt. And that way you don't bang into it, because this head kind of runs into it a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit more. I just want to get it seated in there. The other side. Now, I'm going to set your wheel on its side so carefully. And that third hole, stick your bolt in there. And once you found the threaded insert there, tighten that bolt. Just hand tight, enough to seat it in there so that it's flush with your wood. And then you can finalize tightening the ones on the side. Nice and hand tight. Great. There's no stop bolt to put in. So there's a bumper stop right here. That bumper stop is to keep your stem from getting damaged when you fold your head over. So if you're going to use this as your handle, tighten it up, and that's how you're going to carry it, that handle right there. Don't rest it the other side, on the other side, because there is no bumper stop. So it's okay to tilt it this way for spinning purposes, but you're always going to want to have it at rest, if you do fold it up at rest, taking advantage of the bumper stop as part of the design. I'm going to bring the stem up though, because now we're going to be putting the head on. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for one moment, because we're going to be putting the pulleys on the head before we put the head on the wheel. So there's two pulleys. There's the pulley that you're going to use for the brake, and the pulley that's going to attach to the drive wheel. So the first one we're going to put on is the one that is part of the brake band. You can see the grub screw threaded in there. You're going to take your 2mm Allen wrench and just unscrew it a little bit so that there's no threaded grub screw sticking through the inside diameter of your pulley. It's just because you don't want it to scratch up your flyer shaft while you're sliding it on. So I'm going to just back it out a little so that now it's disappeared into the little bushing there. There's a hole for the grub screw in your flyer shaft. So you just send this through. Line the grub screw up with the hole in the flyer shaft, and then send the grub screw into that hole. You want to feel it going in pretty easily. If it doesn't go in easily, stop. Realign your shaft and your whorl so that that goes in, because it's going to go in. There's not going to be that much sticking out. Less than, I'd say, 1 millimeter or less still left of the grub screw as it sticks out. All right, so that's that. Now we're going to find the flat on the shaft. There it is. You can see how they've ground a flat in your shaft. And that's what you're going to line the grub screw for the drive band. Now, I've had people say, oh, the grub screw is missing on my whorl. It isn't. It doesn't have like a cross on the head. It's indented. The head is indented, and that's how the Allen wrench fits in there. So your screw is in there. If for whatever reason it really isn't, just call me and we'll get you one. It's just this little threaded tube. So what you want to do is you want to line that up with the flat on your shaft. Now the other wheels I assembled, I put the whorls on after the head was installed. This is actually a little bit easier doing it this way. The only problem is I can't line up my grooves right now. So I'm going to do a right tight on that flat. And you want this to be good and tight, because squeaking and poor take-up and all sorts of issues happen when the whorl isn't very firmly seated on that flyer shaft. Okay, we did it. And these are going to spin independently. That's your double drive. Okay, so now we're going to attach the spinning head to the stem assembly. There's a nylon guide on the stem that's facing me while I'm doing this assembly. I'm going to take my spinning head. I don't have the option, like I did with the Rose or the Susie, to have it on either side. It has to be so that this thing comes up like this, because this is going to use gravity. You'll see in a second, but it uses gravity to tighten and loosen. So you're going to put it on, and there's like these nylon washers. Those get put into that groove, and optimally you want it pretty much in the center. However, you do have some play there if you like to have a higher or a lower orifice. Then we take our JCB bolt with the washer, find the threaded insert, and put my 4mm Allen wrench and so that washer has to snap in between those two nylon guides. In there. Okay. Then you take your wooden adjuster screw. There's a little slot right here. You can install that right now. So on the head, there's this little patch of business there that the screw just sort of sits up against. And to tighten your brake band, it's just a little kind of a lever here. Okay, so now what we got to do is we got to install the drive band and the bobbin band. The drive band is green. It's grabby like your other drive bands. Your bobbin band, it's black. So your black bobbin band goes in the black groove. It goes in one of those two last grooves in the pulley that's closest to the head, and in this, I call this the idler pulley. So that's correctly installed. And then your green drive band, which is what's going to drive your flyer shaft, attach that to the outer grooves of your drive wheel. Makes a very satisfying thwack sound. Nice and tight. Okay. We are getting so close. So I don't need my skins anymore. All right, so all we have left are these 3 bolts. These are what you're going to be using your Drive driver. Those are used to attach the crank assembly to the drive wheel. So the drive wheel has 3 threaded inserts. We are not threading or screwing the crank assembly into the wood itself. So it has these nice inserts, or worms they're called. And then you can see on your crank assembly, you've got the matching pattern with the 2 bolts on the top, bolt holes on the top, and 1 bolt hole on the bottom. So I'm just gonna go right on and get those installed. Just start them by hand. A little bit tighter so they're in a better position. Got the Conrad joiner sticking in my belly here to keep it out of the way. Whatever works. Now it's time to attach the joiners to the treadles. They have made it so error-proof. So they've stamped the number 1 on the side of the rod And they've also stamped the number 1 on the inside of your treadle so that you can match it up easier. So you're going to take your Phillips screwdriver and back up the screw that's already installed in the treadle so that there's no point sticking out at all. You can look right through that hole for the joiner and there's nothing there. Now you're going to slide it in so that you can feel about 2 millimeters protruding from the bottom. Get that flush with the treadle, and then we'll do the other side. Now, when you are installing the conrod, which has the little joint here closest to the wheel, you want to make absolutely certain that this joint is perfectly straight, such that when you're turning your crank, it does not touch either side. So you want it perfectly centered before you attach your conrod. It's centered absolutely perfectly. Nice and smooth. So lovely. Let's attach our hybrid flyer or a hybrid flyer and our wood jumbo bobbin now. I'm going to use a very, very tiny amount of Vaseline. They do apply Vaseline at the factory before they test spin it, but you can put a little on there if you like. It doesn't hurt anything. Now there's 2 pins you can see right here. Those are what actually drive the bobbin. There's 2 pins in the wood bobbin. There are also 2 pins in all of the new bobbins. So the plastic bobbin has 2 pins. Before you were restricted with which bobbins you could use on your Aura. Now all the new bobbins suit. I'm gonna thread that on and then engage the pins into the hole in the bobbin. Perfect. And then we're going to move the fly or the hook out of the way so I can get this on there. Now, I'm going to use, so normally I'll tighten my flyer, just that last final nudge, by holding onto the whirl pulley and then giving it that last little So you're going to hold on to this piece because this is the one that is driving the flyer. This is separate. Now if you want to tighten or loosen your brake, and we'll go through this when I start spinning on this beautiful thing. You know, that's the loosest you can get, where it's right down and there's no thread engaged. I'm so thrilled with this wheel, and I'm not intimidated anymore, and I'm really excited to start spinning. So join me for the next video while I spin on my new Aura spinning wheel.